Yo, yo, I believe we are live. Well, I'm live. Let me know in the chat, can you hear me? Can you hear what I'm saying? Is there anybody out there? Hope everyone's had a good weekend. We're going to get things underway pretty shortly. What's up, Will? Andre? All right. Dos, what up, mate? Got one of your tunes again? Very consistent, this man. So, couple of little announcements. Thursday, my new course for Fader Pro came out. If you're interested in that, it's out now. It's pretty sick, if I do say so myself. It's a bit different than last time. It's a remix course. So I'm remixing a amazing track from Steve Bugg on Poker Flat, and it's got a sick vocal by Ali Love. Really cool. I'm super pumped. I've been playing the remix out on my tour in Thailand, which just happened, and yeah, I'm really pumped with it. But yeah, that's out now. If you want to get a discount on that, you can use the code DilbyRemix for 20% off, I believe. There's also Underground Shades of House Volume 2 is done. I've just finished up doing the demo tracks, and it should be out I believe within the month. That'll be out on House of Loop again. Yeah, so that's a big one. That's been a massive undertaking, and thanks for your patience. I know I get very regular comments on YouTube and messages about that, and it's bigger and better than ever before. Basically, I just kept adding and adding. I think it's close to 1.5 gigabytes. It's a big one. Anyway, nice one, Adria. You messaged. Did you message me about it the other day? Anyway, no, I think you messaged me about Fader Pro. Appreciate that, bro. Also, want to point out we had a lot of submissions this month. I think we've got 27 tracks in there. There were a lot, maybe 7 or 8, that either the link didn't work or downloads weren't enabled. So if you don't see your track in here, that's you. Not much I can do about that if I can't get the tracks in and you can't read and follow instructions. Anyway, better luck next time. As always, we've got the first kind of 20-ish who we're definitely going to listen to, and if there's more time, then we are going to get through as many as possible. What else? Oh yeah, also I just wanted to kind of highlight that tracks get regularly signed. Labels watch these streams, and tracks get regularly signed off these. Houston, who regularly sends stuff in, had a sick release which got signed off one of these streams, and that was in my last Beatport chart and in my last Something for the Weekend podcast. So yeah, it's in your best interest to get your shit in here, because labels watch this stuff and tracks get signed from here. So anyway, let's start things off. Enough of my yapping. Let's start things off with the ever consistent Unknown Vibes. Generally, this man is first to deliver his track. often minutes after I post up the announcement. So, and he's also probably one of the guys who I've seen have the biggest kind of evolution in his skills and his kind of career, getting his stuff signed. Yeah, and it's hard work and dedication. This man does his business. All right, let's get going. How about that, eh? You guys didn't have to hear that. Okay, so I think we can all agree that that was absolutely sick and sounds amazing. I really absolutely love it. The only kind of feedback I can give is that it takes a while to kind of get to the like meat of the track. Sorry, the chat's going a bit nuts. Yeah, okay, so it took a while to get to the kind of like, it's a bit samey for the first kind of half of the track. Like, it's got a really cool beat, a really cool bass, really cool vocal. The synths are nice. It's not too, there's like not too much going on. Often, you know, people try to throw too much at the track rather than like keeping it kind of more simple and stripped back with the right elements, which I in my opinion always makes for a stronger track, especially in this kind of style. So the only thing I would say is like it could probably get to some of the kind of additional elements a bit faster. Good. Nice, bringing in the vocal. It's got this new up, which is good. But I feel like maybe something could a little bit higher up or something, maybe. No. Okay, so maybe it's more of an arrangement thing. It seems like all the elements are there. I feel like I was just waiting for quite a long time for this kind of payoff here. So maybe it could be like making this section a bit more concise and this section a bit more concise, and then just making the track like, I don't know, 30 seconds shorter or something like that. Basically just getting to this kind of payoff sooner. Or you could also look at like flipping the, yeah, I don't think it would make sense to have this break first. But yeah, it's dope. It sounds really good. The mix sounds great. Yeah, I think you could kind of get the listener hooked somehow a bit sooner, but it works. And I mean, it more than works. It's really good. Mr. Dos, let's go. Hey Marcel, if you can't see it there, it might be in the waiting list, or it may not have had a working link or the download enabled. mean, well, some crazy sound design in there. I mean, I think honestly, like it's not my style. I will say that. Like, yeah, it's kind of like people in the chat are saying like acid tech house and indie dance. To me, it almost sounds like kind of like progressive house, melodic techno, but with like psytrance sound design. I don't know, like really cool sound design. Everything works well. I thought that it worked well. I just didn't particularly it doesn't resonate with me, let's say. But there was a couple of bits like at the start here. I think something happened, some synth kind of thing happened. It was pretty loud, but I think it's just because of where it is in the track. It's a really stripped back part of the track. Yeah, the tension and release kind of works well. I felt like at this point, like maybe halfway through this section, when these synths and these shakers come in, that's where I felt like the track really got going. Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, really, I mean, honestly, nothing I can fault other than it's not for me. But really well produced, works really well. So good stuff, brother. Mr. Peacock, it's time for the percolator. Let's see. Have you been sampling Green Velvet? It's got a bit of pace on it, doesn't it? I mean, I haven't heard the rest of the track, but I kind of feel already like I like the style of like kind of clap snare layering that you've got going on with quite a bit of reverb. But I feel like for this style, it's probably a bit more relevant. I don't know, to have like a kind of shorter, tighter clap with a bit less reverb. But I don't know. Let's see how it progresses.
Here I go again.
Man, this is really well produced. It wasn't like a Green Velvet remix, which made me happy. Yeah, like everything's kind of in the right place. It sounds super professional. The only thing I could say about it is that it's quite repetitive. Like once kind of you get to the main part of the track, it's just kind of repeating the same things over and over again. There's no surprises.
Should we set the trend? Here we go again. Here we go again.
You know, it wouldn't have to be much, but it could be cool to just add in some like additional little high-end synth or something like that. Hopefully you guys can't hear it. There's someone in a studio playing some really loud music. Anyway, hopefully that's not coming across on the stream. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. If it was my track, that's what I would do, is like kind of, I always try to have like something that comes in the later half of the track, that like a new kind of melody or something like that just helps the track feel like it's progressing. But over to you. I'm not exactly an expert in this kind of tech house type thing. And then, yeah, also my comment about the clap, like when you get into the real body of the track, it sounds good. Like it sounds like this kind of like Iglesias R squared kind of style, Latman, that kind of style of tech house. Just at the start, it kind of felt. So you could think about maybe like having a different clap in that section, or like just reducing the clap in that section. I don't know. That's just an idea. It's maybe not necessary. I'm just going to point this bit out so I don't forget it when I kind of give you an overall idea. This synth sound, when you introduce it here, given like what's happening in this section, I think that could be like much louder. I'm not sure if you're going to make it louder in the mix or not, but I think like here it could really kind of stand out. Like, yeah, if that was like way louder, way more open, just kind of, it could make it like a real kind of dramatic moment. Nice little breakbeat section. Right, so I think the kind of production here is really good. The sound selection is solid. You've got some cool melodies and hooks and stuff going on. I think, in my opinion, the weakness here is the arrangement. It's quite long. The track is kind of like pretty chilled, really. And then you've got these like very kind of like quite a few quite drawn out breakdowns. Like this section here almost feels like one long break. So I think the tension and release is not really, it's not kind of creating the payoff that you are expecting after listening to such a long breakdown kind of thing. So I think, like, I would probably just like really arrange it quite differently. Like I liked this section here when where it kind of went to this breakbeat kind of thing. I would probably try and like literally ditch this and like try and combine these two into like one break. Because I think you've got like some cool ideas with the arrangement, but it's not quite landing. Yeah, so I would kind of like have this, introduce this new sound, build it up, introduce like the breakbeat, kind of, and then kind of maybe get to like here, and then kind of thin it out, have that synth quite dramatic. Maybe build up in a different way rather than introducing the drums. But this drop I found quite unsatisfying. I would say you want to drop into this section with the main kind of more energetic bass line. Rather than this one, which kind of feels like it feels like it kind of builds up and then doesn't really pay off. And I think it was even the same earlier. Yeah. So I think you just want to really look at that kind of flow of energy, the tension and release that you're creating throughout the track. Yeah, as I said, like I think all the elements are there, everything sounds good, it sounds mixed well. The arrangement is just like not presenting those elements in the most in a way that guides the listener and kind of pulls their attention and their emotion through the track. Adria Falco, let's go. Never know quite what we're going to get with Adria, but I like it so far. So I think in this break you could, so there's this like resonant synth. Like I feel like if you took that out, the vocal, it's kind of a little bit competing for attention with the vocal. I think if you just thinned out that breakdown a little bit more, then the vocal would kind of stand out a bit. But I don't know, just try giving it. Just give it a try and see how it sounds. I like those kind of pitch bendy pads. Reminds me of like older Hot Since 82 kind of tracks.
Come around.
really solid track, dude. Like, as always. And a bit different to some of the other stuff I've heard from you. But as I said at the start, that's to be expected. Adria is a versatile producer. So, yeah, like I said with the first break, maybe possible to thin it out a little bit. But other than that, the only thing that I kind of felt was the sound of a bunch of the synths sound, like, it sounds like to me you've got a few different synths playing different kind of parts of the melodic groove, let's say, and some of those sounds are very similar to each other, so it might be kind of cool to have them a little bit different. Yeah, just to kind of like, I think, yeah, I don't know, maybe playing with some different presets or something, just to kind of maybe create a bit of separation between the synths. I don't know. It works how it is. That would be probably the only thing I would experiment with if it was my track. But really, really solid, bro. Call you. Right, I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here and say that by the length of this is an extended mix intended for DJs. That's quite a lot of information to start with for that kind of arrangement. And like, to my point, you're 30 seconds into the track and you've already kind of introduced a lot of elements, and you're kind of about at the point where I'd expect it to be for this kind of track, where I'd expect it to be at like 1 minute to 1.5 minutes, and you're kind of there after 30 seconds. So that breakdown is going to be much more effective if you take out a bunch more of the low end. Also, I mean, I'm not sure if it's your intention, but that vocal that you've got coming in here, it sounds cool to me, but it's also almost inaudible. I can't hear what's going on. So you could kind of look at maybe taking out some of the elements that are competing with that and like making the vocal a little bit louder. Maybe it's supposed to be just kind of like a texture there, but it's getting masked by a bunch of the other sounds and by the volume balance that you've given it. This drop sounds solid. That melody is so familiar from somewhere. Maybe it's a sample that I've heard before. Really like that clave, nice and groovy. Yeah, again, like, you've got your bass line playing all the way through here. Like, if I just... Let me just automate that. Oldest trick in the book, pal. It's got to be done. It's kind of bugging me. I'm not sure where that melody's from. Is it maybe from one of the tracks I've done on Patreon? I don't know. Or it's bugging me. Maybe it's from a sample pack. Yeah, I mean, also bringing that vocal in there didn't really give me the payoff that I wanted. It just makes the track feel a bit overcrowded with that placement of it. So I think like the you've got a good foundation there, like a good groove. It's cool. The vocal sounds nice. It's the arrangement is just really isn't kind of like helping me as a listener stay interested, keep like wanting more. You're not kind of like leaving me guessing. It's like, you know, almost by here. You've got most of the stuff in by like 15 seconds into the track, 30 seconds into the track, you know. So what I would suggest for you in practical terms is go and get like 3 or so reference tracks and look at what they're doing in the arrangement. Maybe even if they're all by the same artist or something, or all from the same label, just something that inspires you. You don't have to copy them like one to one, but just kind of look at them and kind of see similarities and patterns, and like try to listen to how the energy increases, where things like bass lines are being dropped in, where the vocal comes in, how it's being teased in, how much they're taking away in a break, what frequencies are coming away in a break and what's coming back after the break, that kind of thing. Where are new main elements being introduced in the track? What are the main elements in the track? Like, if you had to, a way that I try to think of this and try to suggest people to think of this is to kind of like go, okay, well, what's that track about? If I had to take away everything else and only leave like 3 or 4 elements, what would they be that you would instantly recognize that track? And then do the same for your track, and then think about where do those elements come in and how do they interact with each other. And yeah, so I think it's got real potential, but the arrangement needs to be, I think you need to look at how people with more experience are doing it.
Kissing with extra. With extra. I like extras.
Work my body, move my body.
That little work my body, move my body felt kind of like out of time.
Work my body, move my body.
Maybe, not sure, maybe it's not out of time, but it definitely didn't kind of work with the rhythm that was there. Yeah. Okay, it sounds better in the groove there. So I'm going to maybe make a suggestion that you might not like, because you're probably, maybe too deep in the, what am I trying to say? Like, you're too close to the track. But I feel like the work my body, move my body thing is stronger than the kissing with extras kind of part. But I do like the female like vocal chops that you've got in here. I would probably remove the female like kind of more spoken word vocal parts and just focus on the work my body, move my body bit.
Sexy. I like kissing. I like extras.
Work my body, move my body.
The other thing that I'm going to suggest is like in your beat, you've got, I don't know what it's done with. It could be like a loop with a resonant filter on it or something like that. But you've got this kind of like quite high-pitched resonant kind of groove happening underneath. I would suggest bringing that down lower in the mix a bit. I kind of feel like those kind of sounds, they can really work, but they can also be quite taxing and quite tiring as a listener. So yeah, I would suggest like, I don't know, it might just be a loop, it might be something that you've done, like taken a top loop and put some like bandpass filter on it. It might be done with Tantra or something like that. It's kind of like swishy, high pitch kind of sounds in the groove. I just feel like that could be a bit lower, and then the kind of main backbeat would stand out a bit more, and it would kind of make the track a little, it's kind of a little bit distracting, I would say. But like, small detail, I think it's really well done. You've got lots of details in there, lots of like kind of interesting sounds and interesting like sound design. Yeah, Riley Ford, are you giving feedback to people not on the Patreon? You can order like feedback sessions from me if you're not a Patreon member. You can go to my website, weekendaudio.com, WKNDaudio.com, to order that. These live stream feedbacks are a benefit for members of my Patreon. So, not today, brother. But you're welcome to join up and submit a track for next time. So a lot of the, I'm not sure, did I bring this down in volume? Like it's kind of got this vibe where it's, it doesn't look like it's super compressed, but it's kind of got this really distorted vibe. It could be that you're maybe using a lot of saturation on a lot of different elements. But the track kind of, things sound a bit too kind of loud and aggressive in a lot of ways. And the bass sounds very like it's kind of muddy. It's like taking up too much space. It's got too much mid-range in it. It's kind of maybe a bit loud as well. And then this kind of this distorted stab, like if you're going to have like a really distorted stab like that, I think you probably want to have your other elements be a bit cleaner. You always want to kind of find contrast. Like if you're using a lot of distortion on a lot of different elements, then your track sounds distorted. Whereas if you've got some elements that are cleaner and some elements that are more distorted, then you can hear that element sounds like distorted or saturated or whatever you want to say. Your hats also sound quite harsh. I think so. You've got these like, you've got shakers and stuff, and I think everything. It sounds like everything is kind of happening around like this. Like it doesn't feel. Okay, maybe there is a bit of body in your hats. No, maybe there's not. Yeah, so I think you are maybe EQing your hats too hard. So it sounds like you've kind of done something like this to your hats. So I think it's always much more beneficial to kind of EQ your hats more like this, use less layers and kind of give them the let more of the body of the sound through, especially for this kind of house music that you're doing here. says demo master there. So I'm not sure if you've mastered it or someone else has mastered it, but I think something's going on with the, I don't know. I think there's a few issues with the sound design and the sound selection and that kind of thing. But maybe I'm not sure what this demo master means, but that could also be playing a part in it sounding a bit not really well balanced and a bit distorted. Alright, so this is called Tech House. I would say this is much more techno than Tech House, but anyway, your low end is just kind of a mess. Like the kick's not strong enough. There's no space between, no definition between the bass and the rumble and the kick. Like if I do this, the whole thing sounds like rumble, like the kick's not punching through. So you really need to kind of create definition in that low end. Your like hats and stuff are just super harsh and aggressive, and like people make music that sounds like this, but when it's made well, it's also pleasing to the ear, and this just sounds really, really harsh and aggressive. So I think it's about choosing sounds where there's space in the frequency spectrum for them. Like, so you've got this like sweepy thing that's happening that's really aggressive, and then you bring in this like really harsh 16th note hat, which is like just super, super loud. So a sound like that can totally work, but you just got to get it balanced right in the mix, and also balanced in the frequency spectrum. If you're going to put like a bunch of like really high frequency hats really loud on top of each other, the whole track's just going to sound really harsh. There's also nothing in the way of a hook, I would say. I think you need to go and reference some tracks and trying to find better sounds. But like, I think I would recommend anyone when they're starting out to make a track, like try to have try to create like a hook, something that's memorable about the track. That hook can be like a percussion groove, a drum groove, or whatever. So like reference other tracks that sound like you want what you want to make, and try to understand what is the thing that makes them sound the way they do. What makes that track sound different from another track? What makes that track the track that someone might remember the next day from the dance floor? And that way you're going to make music that connects with people in whatever style you do. Oh, we just skipped one. I think it's definitely too much, Fredo.
mind is a jungle, and sometimes I don't find my way back.
I feel like this lead sound that you've got here is, it sounds a bit harsh for, like it's very mid-rangey, with not much low end. I feel like if you layered it with something that had a bit more sub in it, maybe kind of, and then balanced that, it would be, I think it could be really cool, but it just sounds a bit unbalanced. And that's kind of like my feeling about the track in general. Like, it sounds really cool that you've selected really nice elements, they work well together, but the balance of the mix is quite off. Like, the bass is a bit low, like low in volume. There's kind of like, it feels like there's a bit of, I mean, you can kind of see it in this frequency spectrum analyzer here. There's kind of something missing. And I don't know if that's if there's like an element missing, or if there's, I don't think so. I think it's just the distribution of frequencies. Your bass line's kind of just not really like pushing like it should be. So I think that the songwriting's really cool. It's good sound selection. Like I said, some of the sounds themselves, like this one in here, could be a bit more balanced, a bit more full sounding. Again, you can kind of see that on the frequency. There's like, you've got this kind of low sub held note underneath, but this, yeah, it just feels kind of harsh in the break there. Nice little guitar riff. Maybe that's probably adding some something in this kind of 800 to 3K range. So maybe bring that guitar thing in earlier. Yeah, I mean, the track's really nice. you could get in touch with me or someone else if you want help mixing it. I think there's probably a link in the description of this video if you want to contact me about mixing. Or just get some references and give it another go yourself. So I think this kick drum is super low. Let me just kind of isolate it here for a second. Yeah, I just don't think this kick drum is ever going to work the way it is. It's just kind of like lacking, I don't know, lacking definition in the sub, it feels like, to me. It's got kind of a nice top on it actually, but the bass here sounds kind of like a poorly chosen preset. It's not got a lot of sub in it, and it's got a lot of kind of this like quite farty mid-range sound. Like those little percussion fills there. Didn't expect that sample. It's a cool sample. I can't remember where it's from. It's nice. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you potentially haven't been writing music for a super long time. I think your track would sound way more polished if you took out this vocal chop thing. It sounds budget as to me. Yeah, okay, so kick drum, find a better one. One of the best ways that I think you can do that is by sampling one from a track in the style that you like. You know, maybe if you're a DJ or you have music on your computer, go through a few reference tracks, try and find one where there's like a isolated kick drum at the start of the end and sample that. There's a video on my channel about how to do that. Or you could try and find one from a sample pack, but then you kind of have to listen to it and go, oh, that is going to work. Whereas when you sample one from a track that you know works, you know it works, right? And then basically just use that kick drum for a bunch of tracks. Once you know that that's like right, then do that. Then once you know how that's right and why that's right, then you can look for other samples that are right. But like a kick drum, something that can like let down a track if it's not good or not working, but it's not really going to make the track. Like no one heard a track before and went like, you know, I don't really like anything in that track, but the kick drum's so good, it's now my favorite track. Or, you know, something equivalent to that. I think cool sample could be like used slightly differently. It kind of comes out of nowhere, but like as you've confirmed in the comment in the chat there, you've only been writing music for 8 months, so just keep going, write more tracks. I just wanted to say, like, when I'm giving like harsh feedback like I did here and to Amy Note, I'm not intending to be an asshole by any means, you know. I'm just like, I feel like there's no point in sugarcoating it. If something's not right, then it's not, or it doesn't sound good, then it doesn't sound good. If I kind of tiptoe around that fact, then it doesn't really help you. So, but I'm definitely not trying to like belittle you or make you feel bad. I'm just kind of trying to point out the biggest things that I feel like could be improved about your track, or about your writing process. Okay, Just for Smiles for the first time. It's like, you know how some people have like 2 first names, like this kind of, I'm not sure which one's the track name. It feels like 2 track names. You know, whatever, stupid joke maybe inside my head. Feel like there's a, like, okay, so now that I'm listening to your music, the Just for Smiles artist name sounds really apt and good. Really cool track. I like this sample, solid. I really like the kind of live bass sound, and then it also comes in sounding really full. I like the sample that you're using, but it feels like there's a disconnect in the kind of low mids. Like you've got this really strong kick and sub, and then you've got this very loud sample that feels like it's kind of lacking some body. Like yeah, it kind of feels like in this kind of area between like 100 hertz and kind of 500 hertz, that those two, the low end and the kind of mid-range, is not blending together properly. This can be like a real problem area where if there's too much going on here, it can make the track sound kind of muddy. And in this case, it feels like, I think maybe it's like the thing you've sampled, I can still hear the top of the bass line, and then you're playing like a different unrelated bass line, and maybe that's kind of confusing my ears, and you've kind of EQ'd out quite a bit of the sample, maybe like, so, I don't know, something like this. And then yeah, so something confusing is happening in this area anyway. So yeah, it's funny, this track, it sounds like most of the things are really well balanced, but some of the the mix in general is pretty well balanced, but that some of the instrumental kind of sample sounds are a bit loud and a bit harsh, and that could be like a combination of the way you've EQ'd them and how loud they are in the mix. And then there's, yeah, like I said, some issue, I don't know, maybe my ear's not good enough to hear exactly what it is, but it feels like there's some kind of disconnect between the main sample and the bass line in that kind of low mid area. Yeah, like the bottom of this piano, maybe you could just try, because the piano's so repetitive, you could try changing the bass line and basing it on that piano. I don't know. But like, yeah, really solid kind of funky house track. Just a few kind of little issues to address with the mix and something in there in the low end. All right. We've got a track up next from 250403, catchy name, Safe to Try. I don't think that's actually their name. I think they haven't put their name, but that's one hell of a title you've got going on here, pal. Sounds solid. I don't know what the intention of this arrangement is, whether it's if it's for Spotify or streaming or whatever. I feel like it doesn't start out strong enough. For any kind of streaming edit, I think it's really important to always start out with something that just grabs the listener's attention. Like, it's cool, but there's nothing that like makes me go, I need to listen to the rest of this. I can tell where this is going or something, you know, like what's happening here. So like, let's say, just as an example, if I'm making a track that has a vocal hook and I'm making an edit for Spotify, I'll try to start the track with that vocal hook. I might take it away for the next kind of 30 seconds or minute of the arrangement, but I've given the listener the payoff right from the start, and that's to overcome the problem where someone hears the track from a playlist or just from the algorithm and then goes, skip. Okay, it was more intended as a DJ extended mix. Okay, it's kind of what I thought. It's pretty wild to me that you've got already like baseline changes happening by kind of 45 seconds in here. Like, try, like, always, what up, Rich? I think it's always helpful to try mixing your track with other tracks, you know. See how it works as a DJ if that's your intention. Yeah, I feel like kind of it's what it sounds to me like is that you got all your elements and you took them into your kind of arrangement view and you started arranging the track from here and went forward. And And what I find is when you arrange in that manner of like starting at 0 and working forward in the timeline, that or in my experience anyway, I would bring in too many elements too early. I would use up all my kind of ammunition like at the start of the track, and I would kind of have a tendency to keep adding things because I feel like it gets boring. So now when I arrange, I kind of focus on this part of the track, and then once that's working, I put in the kind of introduction and stuff like as the last part of the arrangement process, or of the writing process, arrangement process. I don't know. So to me, it sounds like you're a relatively accomplished producer. Your sound design, sound selection, kind of like writing of your parts is like really solid, really strong. But it feels like the arrangement is kind of maybe not your strong suit at this point. I think the best way to overcome that is like listening to reference tracks, trying to figure out how they do it, how they introduce their elements, like when new elements come in, and how they use tension and release to create like intensity in the track and to give a like payoff to the listener. Like I felt like you create like quite a bit of tension in this break with this like automated this kind of LFO kind of synth that's like winding up. But then like this bringing in the kick drum at a kind of low volume, it actually kind of takes away from the intensity of that synth. I think bringing in another element that added to that tension would be better. Then you kind of... So that's cool, where you kind of wind up the synth to like real kind of fever pitch, and then you have it like... But there, you know, I think that little section here could be way better, like with maybe kind of like recording like part of the beat has it on like resampling part of the beat, and then like having it reverse, like so it went and then dropped in, but you then drop in without a bass line or something. So like so the tension goes way up, and then the release is like feels like a emotional letdown to me. You know, this kind of thing can be done, and there are definitely examples of when it's done really well, and it can really work on a dance floor. But I think it's a different combination of elements that would deliver that, like coming in with this kind of real dreamy up at that moment does not match the energy that you've given here. So like coming in with just the kick, the bass, and maybe these kind of like stabs in the background, so it's more like aggressive and driving. And then with the bass line underneath as well. And then you could bring in the hats and stuff, and then you could bring in the up, which would kind of, I feel like that would give more of a payoff at this section and then make more of a natural progression. But the best way to kind of get ideas for that is just referencing a bunch of other tracks that work really well in your style. You've said that you think it's a bit too long. I don't think that's the problem. I think like there's plenty of like progressive house tracks that are not only longer than 5 minutes, but like, you know, you get some that are up to 8 or 9 minutes. Depends what you're trying to do, but I think it's more about the way that you present the elements and the way that you create tension and release that is going to have more of an impact than the length of the track.
Years old, and its name is cannabis sativa. It's also known as marijuana, pot, grass, weed. Its name is cannabis sativa. It's also known.
So I would say here you've kind of like, I mean, it's fine, but you've kind of like made a real focus on some of your melodic elements and stuff, but the foundation of your track is not so solid. Like the kind of, your kind of backbeat, your kick, clap, hat kind of combination is like, first of all, the mix of them, the balance of them in volume is not quite right. Also, so I would say that and the bass, if you get that solid, like anything you put on top is going to sound much better.
It's marijuana.
Right, like let me grab this. It's not a very elegant way to change the balance of a track like that, but it's already starting to sound more solid, you know?
And its name is cannabis. Use that voting up.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I would go back to I would revisit the basics of the track. Try and get that that backbeat super solid, because for this style of house music, it doesn't need to be complicated. It's just about having like a really, really strong foundation, I believe. Get that kick, clap, hat sounding really solid. Maybe chuck in a bit of a top loop, maybe some kind of groovy snare groove kind of thing. And then get your bass really pumping with a bit more sub, and then try to think about ways that you can present the samples and stuff that you've got there. I think some of these chord sounds could have a lot more kind of low mid, especially how you've got it here, because there's not really a bass line to speak of. You've got this kind of tom, but there's like plenty of space here between kind of like, what are we looking at? Yeah, kind of between like 75 hertz and 200 hertz, where you really need something that's like one of the most pleasing parts of the frequency spectrum for house and techno music. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say your track's not really got a bass line. Which kind of, I mean, I guess you could have like these chords and stuff acting as a bass line, but because of the way they're voiced and EQ'd, like there's not really, you know, if they had like if they had some kind of fundamentals being played lower, then they could be like creating that groove and interacting with that tom drum to create the kind of low end groove. As another demonstration. Oops. Just, you know, pretty boring low end. The kick's really loud as well, so that's kind of, I think if you're going to have that particular combination as the low end, maybe finding a tom that's got a bit more audible frequencies and bringing it up in volume a bit compared to the kick. The drums are pretty quiet in your track, and then the melodic elements are pretty loud. As I said, the kick's really loud as well. So yeah, I mean, I think like it's like a really pleasant style of music that you've made here, and I think the track could really work. There's just like a few pretty fundamental issues with the balance and the writing. Like, get something in that low mid section, and like, let me just demonstrate. Totally different style of track, but I'm going to show you here on our friend Unknown Vibes track. Those frequencies in the track just really kind of, I don't know, they make it sound like house music to me. And then if we go back here, oops. Yeah, I think you get the point. So yeah, I think mixing your drums a bit louder, getting a bit more body in the beat, and getting some kind of like low mid action in there will make that into a really cool track.
Welcome to the Subfrequency Hospital. I'm Dr. Baseline.
How can I help you?
There's something, I can't quite pick out what it is. There's something about the frequency spectrum of this, the panorama of this. It feels like there's some elements that should be stereo that are mono.
Right into your stomach. Luckily, this works just through air pressure. You should feel better right now. Time to bounce again.
I mean, the track's well made. There's cool sound design in it, I guess. It's definitely not for me. Like, it's yeah, I I don't know. It's like totally a style that is basically the opposite of the stuff that I'm into. But it sounds like well balanced, well produced. I'm sure in the right setting, it would sound great for the right audience. I just don't get it. I think. So I feel like on this already, like the drums sound a bit what am I trying to say? Maybe unorthodox. Let's see how it progresses, but it kind of like, it doesn't. I think like you want to. What I always recommend is trying to get like a really strong, simple drum sound, drum kind of groove, backing groove for any kind of house or techno track. If you can start with like a kick, clap or snare and main kind of hat, and just select the right samples and leaving in enough of the frequencies that it already kind of sounds full, that it sounds more than the sum of its parts. That's like that's where you want to get to with the foundation of your elements. It sounds simple, but it's not super easy to achieve. But when you do, I think everything else on top of that is a win, and you end up putting less in the track. But let's see how it goes. But I'm getting the feeling at the moment that already the main drum elements aren't quite right. It sounds like you've got quite a few, like the drums just really aren't working for me. But it sounds like you've got a few different rhythms in your track from different like elements. Like you've got this kind of, I'm not sure if it's a sample. It's kind of like melodic part. You've got different rhythms in your hats, and then you've got different rhythms in your percussion. And they're kind of all, feels like they're all kind of happening independently. They're not really like drumming to the same beat. And like the volume balance and the kind of the length of your hats and stuff is like overpowering this vocal. Also the energy of the vocal is completely different to the energy of the beat. Like the vocal is kind of sounding pretty laid back, and the beat is quite, the hats and stuff are quite intense. Let me see if I can find a kind of example of what I mean. So let's find it. So in here, I know I've got some kind of simple You know, so these, like, with the right kick drum underneath, so the hat and the clap are really kind of speaking to each other. They're kind of making it to be more than the sum of its parts. You know, it's a simple beat with lots of a simple kind of groove with lots of space in it, which I think would work much better with your vocal. But again, the vocal's introducing another rhythm that's different to the other things in the track. Let me warp this. Oh, you've been playing with the limiter too, haven't you? Maybe I didn't get a chance to. Pretty loud. Let me grab this and pull the transient in, the transient envelope. So you can, you know, it's pretty hard to demonstrate on the whole track. But to me, even when I'm doing that, well, it doesn't sound good because of the way I'm doing it. I think with a much tighter, skippier beat, it already sounds better to me. Yeah, hopefully that gives you somewhere to go with it. This just perfectly says, demonstrates what I was trying to say, like the hat and it's simple, but those things are working together really well. Not saying that this is what you want to make for your track. You want to make something equivalent to this that works for your track. Like it could be in a different style, different sample selections that are going to work for the other kind of main elements that you've got, your samples and vocal and stuff.
What the fuck, y'all?
This is sick. Definitely not really a style that I am super into, but this is really well done, Andy. I feel like you could maybe EQ out a few of the frequencies in your bass line, just in the kind of low mids. Not like make it completely subby. I just feel like a little bit of EQing there could tighten it up. I would also go out on a limb here and say that the weakest part of this that I can hear is the vocal. I feel like a like I don't know, that maybe Masters at Work's not the right kind of comparison, but like it's got a really the backing track sounds so sick, and the vocal sounds like a maybe, I don't know, maybe you've got it from Splice or something, maybe it's not, but I think the vocal could be stronger, and that would like really elevate the track.
We got the funk, y'all. The funk, y'all.
Sounds better.
Everybody knows that.
To be honest, I think that whole section would have been stronger without any of the vocals. The vocals brought it down for me. The rest of it was pretty much blowing my mind.
Got the funk, y'all. Everybody knows that we got it. We got the funk, y'all. The funk, y'all.
Sick, Andy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't even need the vocal, or like, you know, maybe you can write like Ron Carroll or something and get some I don't know, maybe it's the next, like, the sermon or something. That vocal and that piano are really clashing, I think. Okay, so what this plugin is doing is soloing in place either just the mid or just the sides. And when I solo the sides in place, there's nothing. The track is completely mono. So the biggest win you could get here is panning. Put some stereo information somewhere. It makes your track sound super, super lo-fi. It's got a throwback kind of vibe, but like not that far back, pal. Get some stereo in there. And yeah, with the vocal and the piano, the piano is just drowning out the vocal, and so what you could do is get like a plugin like Track Spacer and sidechain the piano to the vocal, and then the Track Spacer is going to push competing frequencies out of the way, which is going to let your piano play, and when the vocal plays, the vocal's going to come through as well. Jay South, I do not review hip-hop. I like hip-hop. I get what you're saying, mate, that you're a rapper. It's cool that you're a rapper from New Zealand. I'm also from New Zealand, but like, I understand the concept of like getting your stuff heard on a stream. But dude, the people who are tuning in are house and techno producers, so I don't think your audience is locked into this stream. So it's, even if I was going to play your tracks, I don't think the right people that you want to hear them are going to be hearing them. So anyway. Yeah, you got some cool melodies and some cool ideas in here. It sounds like a bit of a work in progress as well. So I think you can definitely develop on that, and it could be like a pretty fun ravey track. I mean, listen, Jay, if you want to submit the tunes for next month, all the information is on Patreon, and as long as you're in early, I'll play them and give you my opinion. But like, I don't know if it's going to achieve what you want to achieve with it. That's my advice, pal. Anyway, let's hit this naive indie trance M1 V4. It's a strong groove. I do not like your hi-hat though. Hey Dakota, well, we've just hit time, and I've got a few more tracks to do, so there might be like one or two of the waitlist, but probably not all of them. Well, that's definitely not all of them. I mean, this is really well done. Again, not really my thing, but I could see someone like Marlon Hofstadt or something playing this, and I can kind of picture one of those big raves under a bridge with like a few thousand people going fucking mental to it. So yeah, good shit. Bell Royce. What about progressive trance? Would that be a suitable genre for you to review? Sure, why not? Send it in. I can give you my opinions. As like you know, the closer the music is to something that I do, the more, you know, house and techno generally my thing. I can definitely give you some feedback on it, definitely on things like mixing or hooks, and yeah, for sure. But like, I'm not super knowledgeable about what's the latest trends in progressive trance, so it's more of an outside view than an inside view, let's say. nice percussion here. I think this one might be from Mr. Albuquerque, right? I think you maybe want to push up the bass line a bit. What do we... I'm looking at the bass line here. I think I'm just saw it in the EQ here. Maybe I'm not sure. It could just be in this section that you've taken out some of the bass, but it feels like, yeah, there's some kind of submissing in the bass. You probably EQ'd it out. Love a nice free space. Yeah, okay, don't worry about my earlier comment about the bass. Looks like you have got the frequencies in there. I feel like something that could really add to this is a bit more of a like synth in the low mids that kind of, maybe, I don't know if it plays the same as the bass line or just kind of interacts with the bass line, plays kind of some of the same notes and some different notes or something, but like, what do you call it, like a kind of like, I don't know, chord stab riff kind of thing that's going to give a bit more drive and energy to the track. It kind of feels like this kind of combination of like laid back and energetic at the moment. Because you've got these kind of like yeah, there's like bright twinkly melodies, but then there's not really, doesn't feel like there's something kind of in the low mids that's and that's like the top of your bass line there. Kind of something like around where like a piano would sit. It doesn't have to be a piano, but like I think some kind of yeah, like driving melody like a piano kind of riff would be would kind of really help this track. Yeah, that's what I would focus on looking for. All right, let's hit a couple of these waitlist ones. Nicker. Anyway, I believe your comment was that you hadn't sent in a track for a year. So how are you progressing? Let's find out. Okay, so first thing I'll say is like the balance sounds a bit off. The elements sound really quite good. I hear what you're going for. It sounds like you're trying to go for like a vibe of something that would be released on like Bondage Music or Sublease or something like that. Gorge, Mihai Popovicio, Marcus Hom, kind of those kind of artists. So I think the sounds that you've got are right. The arrangement isn't right. I think you should reference some tracks that you like and try and literally just copy their arrangement for a start, and then you can kind of like tweak it to be your own, but like at least kind of see where to go from here, because yeah, I don't think this one is right. And then the balance of your elements is a bit off. Like it sounds a bit dull. Your kick and bass is pretty loud, and your hats and stuff are a bit quiet. And you're kind of missing a bit around here. So it's like doing this kind of EQing is never going to make a track sound perfect, but I can demonstrate like the balance, like it sounds a bit more balanced, I believe. A bit more powerful. Yeah, the breakdown's kind of like functional enough, but very, very generic. Nothing really interesting happens. Good little payoff at the end though, where you build it up. You could have more kind of delay and reverb of your kind of elements here, but nice little touch where the vocal plays and then it drops back. Yeah, so I mean, solid foundation, some good room for improvement. I think could be a good one. So I don't remember your older tracks, sorry, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think you have progressed in the last year since you sent some stuff in, because it's sounding pretty solid. Alex Lowe, Blue York. That's quiet. So you've got quite a few little intricate details in the samples or melodies that you've got playing here, and they're kind of like confusing each other. It feels a bit much. One way to get around that could be to like try and pan some of them out so that like one thing's playing over here and one thing's playing over here, so they're not like so on top of each other. Right, sounds there. It's probably happening in the rest of the track, but there was enough space there for me to hear it. Sounds like you got two kick drums playing on top of each other, and they're slightly out of time. Like it sounds like a new track's being mixed in, and it's like slightly off from the other one. Yeah, I can kind of see it there. There's like two transients, like one. Let me. Oops. Shit. So you got one transient here and one transient here. So it kind of sounds like you've got like maybe some loops and stuff going on in your track that aren't quite working together with each other. Yeah, now that I'm listening back to this section, it definitely sounds like that. Like maybe you're using a couple of different loops layered and they've got different timing on them, so you can always like grab your loops and warp them and then add in a groove template or something just to get them all working together. Yeah, some room to move there for sure. let's have one more Soul Guest House DJ Master. Is this a DJ master? You've done the mastering for your DJ sets, or you're saying that you are a DJ master? Be interested to find out. I would probably suggest that your DJ master should be a bit louder. Vocals a bit quiet, I would say. Can't really hear it properly. Yeah, I think maybe your bass is a bit loud. Feels like you've got some kind of nice drums and you've definitely got a vibe going on here, but I don't know, it kind of feels like a backing track that's missing a hook a little bit. I don't know, I guess maybe it's organic house or something. I personally, and this could just be a me thing, but I find like quite a bit of stuff, even like the stuff from like the top artists in organic house, sometimes feels like a bit like it doesn't have a hook to me. Yeah, so I think like it seems like lots of your melodic elements are sitting in the same kind of place in the frequency spectrum, in this kind of like upper mids area, and that's very crowded. So you've got these kind of like arpeggios and then these like melodies in there. I would suggest like trying to separate them by playing them in different octaves. You might need to change the sounds in that case. But it's going to make your track feel more full and create some kind of like separation between them. And it's going to make the mix just feel more... It's going to make the mix sound better by having just those elements naturally separated in the frequency spectrum. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. Thanks to everyone who sent in their tracks. hopefully the people who I gave feedback to got some value from that. As I said earlier, it's always my intention to give you some things to work on. Sometimes I make silly jokes and stuff, but it's not intended to hurt anyone's feelings or be an asshole, basically. That's maybe just my dry sense of humour. But yeah, really good, some really good stuff in there, and looking forward to next time. Alrighty, have a good Sunday. Peace.